So a good long while ago, around the time that Beauty and the Beast remake came out, I did a video generally talking about Disney remakes and why I think that they're terrible and awful and nobody should ever pay money to go see them, and then Beauty and the Beast made over $1 billion worldwide, and I graduated my emotional state up from...
Are you serious?
To...
What?
Then in the following years, we had yet more live-action remakes, and indeed some sequels to beloved Disney classics such as Christopher Robin, Mary Poppins Returns, and Dumbo. All financial successes, but nothing approaching the same kind of success as Beauty and the Beast. And then 2019 came along, and we got
not one, not two,
but 3 Disney remakes all in a one-o, with Aladdin, Lion King, and Lady and the Tramp. Lady and the Tramp was only released on Disney Plus, so we don't know exactly how much cash it raked in for the big conglomerate, but unfortunately the same cannot be said for the other 2 remakes, which both, like Beauty and the Beast, managed to score well over $1 billion.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
I even put out a video when Aladdin was coming out talking about how I flat out refused to pay a single solitary penny into Disney's pocket to see their rubbish remakes, and I'm proud to say that I'm still sticking to that, even though, as the numbers suggest, it really didn't make a bit of difference. Disney's most recent cash grab, Mulan, hit Disney Plus in the midst of this awful hellscape that we call 2020, and just as the previously mentioned examples, I did not put in the ridiculous 30 quid charge to watch it, and trust me, that whole thing is going to get its own section in this video. As a result, I haven't actually seen it, but judging by the reaction online, it was every bit the soulless, lifeless, pale imitation of a great animated classic as every other remake that came before it. Everyone's got a different complaint, from the wooden acting, to the poor attempts to represent Chinese culture, to the filmmakers either cutting out stuff which made the original film great, or just redoing stuff from the original without a trace of the charm, artistry, or passion. In short, everyone agrees that the movie is rubbish, which is a real shame when you consider that this was the one Disney film which probably could have benefited from a fresh, new take. But that's not why Disney made it. They wanted the same thing that they've always wanted. And the real horrible truth behind this whole thing, the bitter pill that I think it's high time everyone needs to swallow, is that it's your money that they're grabbing for. And that is really the point of this video today. That is why I'm feeling the need to rummage around in this barrel of shit once again. Because I'm so sick of seeing these things come around year upon year upon year, as well as the countless videos of YouTubers like myself constantly having to denounce them. Because we're essentially just repeating the same criticism again and again. Oh, this is just a lifeless, soulless version of a Disney classic, says the pretentious YouTube film reviewer for the 100th time. You don't say. When I did my video talking about why I refused to watch that Aladdin remake, I made the point that Disney is the same as any other corporation. Their primary goal is to make money, and thanks to the monopoly that they've built over Hollywood, they are more than succeeding in that goal. In the span of 1 year, the total assets for the Walt Disney Company went from $98.6 billion to $193.98 billion from 2018 to 2019. That combined with their continual growth in the film market, the fact that they have the power, money, and influence to absorb other film companies which occupied their own little monopolies 20 years ago, the fact that 29 million people subscribed to Disney Plus within 3 months, and that was only back in February before the lockdown properly kicked off. It's safe to say that Disney have made quite the killing these past few years. And yeah, with the advent of Disney Plus and the recent global crisis, they've more than likely been making a buttload day in, day out as everyone stays indoors and signs on to watch some of their favorite Disney classics either with the family or just by their lonesome. Except it's even better for the company because they aren't obliged to disclose exactly how much money that they're getting from the online service, like they would have to do with their films in the box office. So we do not even know how much moolah that they've been getting from charging people to see Mulan at 30 quid a pop. But the really sinister thing is that they don't need to tell us. Just judging from the overwhelming success of Aladdin, Lion King, King, Jungle Book, and Beauty and the Beast, we already know that Mulan made them a ton of cash. And as frustrating as it is, the sheer amount of people ranting about the thing online also contributed to that money pile. I've seen tons of videos of people complaining about the film, ripping it a new one, and picking apart the many flaws with the damn thing. And as someone who spends his days doing the exact same thing, more sympathetic I could not be. But at the end of the day, unless you pirated it or something, you still paid the 30 quid to watch that Mulan remake. You're still paying Disney 30 quid for the privilege of getting to rip it apart, as well as the equivalent of £6 a month for their subscription service. So at the end of the day, you're still giving them what they want. I have been bitching and moaning for years now about how lifeless, soulless, and empty these films are. In terms of cinematic quality, they run the gamut from passable fun to insulting wastes of time. In the case of movies like The Jungle Book or Cinderella, I did genuinely appreciate the impressive visual elements and some of the more nuanced changes to characters like Shere Khan or the Prince. And this was enough for me to forgive the bizarre changes to plot and or characters, like Cinderella being even more of a passive dummy than she was in the original, or Mowgli staying in the jungle instead of going to the human village at the end, thereby undermining the entire point of the story. But with most of the other remakes, I cannot for the life of me understand what anyone finds enjoyable about them. In all other cases, they try to imitate what was already damn near flawless, whilst at the same time never grasping that flawless element that the originals had. They either A, recreate their plot scene for scene without any of the passion, good pacing, or nuanced writing of the originals, essentially treating itself as a checklist of events rather than an engaging story. B, alter and or cut out vital characters or plot elements, thereby altering the entire frame of the movie so it loses its significance and emotional impact. C, suck the life and personality out of its characters, typically the female ones, by making them flawless badasses who can never do any wrong. Because, you know, we can't have main characters who have to actually grow and evolve and change and overcome difficulties like any other character arc, because that's not marketable enough to the young, hip, age 6 to 25 female demographic. D, replace impressive visual storytelling and captivating animation with washed out color palettes and lifeless recreation of classic scenes. Still looking at you, Lion King. E, rely entirely on audiences' nostalgia for the originals in both its marketing and in the finished product in order to keep them engaged. Or F, all of the above. The common thread in all the Disney remakes is that they fail to capture the public's imagination with anything like the same capacity as their original counterparts. They rely on the audience's nostalgia in order to be successful. That is evident just in the trailers constantly using epicified versions of the original songs. As a result, their whole appeal is based around the idea of reminding the audience of a time in their lives when Disney sparked their imaginations as a way of distracting them from the fact that they aren't doing that same thing anymore. There's no imagination in the 2019 Lion King or the 2016 Beauty and the Beast. Which genie made you laugh harder, the Will Smith one or the Robin Williams one? Which version of this scene made your heart pump harder? Which version of this death made you cry harder? Which of these visuals is more gorgeous to look at? If a remake can't even come within the ballpark of impacting its audience as well as the original version, then why even make it in the first place? Why do we need a Lion King remake? Why do we need an Aladdin remake? Why do we need a Mary Poppins sequel? Why do we need a Maleficent movie? The short answer is, we don't, but they keep making them anyway. These remakes fail to justify their own existence, and yet, judging by the billions that Disney keeps making off of them, they totally do have a reason to exist. And that sole reason is... And that is the main point here. These movies have got no reason to exist other than to make Disney even richer, and that's something that the general audiences seem perfectly okay with. Now, if you get something out of them, if you find some kind of enjoyment in watching a lifeless, pseudo-realistic version of something you loved as a kid, great! You do you, go right ahead. Don't let me or anyone else stop you from enjoying what you want to enjoy, even though I will never ever understand how or why. But for everyone else, if you are as sick to death of watching these remakes as I am, I have a very simple solution for you. Stop watching them. Seriously, if you're so sick of these bloody things, stop paying money to see them. Stop rewarding Disney for shitting on your childhood, cause that is what you are doing. Every pound or dollar you spend on a Disney remake that you inevitably end up hating simply justifies why it was made in the first place. They don't care if you or I hate the films. They don't care about us screaming obscenities into our camera and microphones, talking about how Disney has destroyed and raped our childhood, ranting about how they're mining something that we loved as kids purely for profit because, yeah, that's exactly what they're doing, and they know it. Those billions that Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and The Lion King made, your money contributed to that. The 6 to 12 quid that you spent is in there somewhere, whether you hated the film or loved it. So you can rant and rave as much as you like. They've still got your money now, suckers. Suckers! This Mulan remake might be the most blatant example of Disney's money grubbing. The simple fact that they are charging you an extra £30 on top of the £60 yearly subscription fee demonstrates this purely profit-driven mindset. They know they don't need to try, to do better, to be imaginative. They own Hollywood now, and they know that the general public is going to reward them no matter what they do. So your best recourse as a customer is to simply speak with your wallet and stop paying them. Don't watch the shitty remakes. Don't pay to see the Cruella de Vil movie that's coming out next year or whatever. Hell, maybe even go a step further. Unsubscribe from Disney Plus if you feel up to it. Most corporations run under very rigid business models because that is where they feel comfortable. As soon as a company finds a profitable source of income, they will tap that well until it is dried up and then just move on to the next big endeavor. Disney are going to keep remaking movies until they stop making money or they just run out of movies to remake. So the only logical recourse, to me anyway, would simply be to stop giving them money. You have the power here. You are the customer. So I will say again for the people in the back, if you don't like all these Disney remakes, don't watch them. Anyway, that's my very long rant done. Now I can talk about Pledsto. Pledsto is a new online support website in the same vein as sites like Patreon, only a great deal simpler. You donate money to my page and you will get direct chat with me, as well as exclusive early access to my content, including updates on future videos, polls about what subjects or films that I should tackle in the future, and even clips from upcoming videos as well. If you want to show your support to this channel, go ahead and give my page on Pledsto a look, and even if you don't, thank you so much for clicking on this video and keeping this channel alive. If you have your own thoughts on the lifeless Disney remakes, if you want to say which one angered you the most, or even if you enjoyed one, leave a comment down below, hit the like button, subscribe, thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.